There you go. Hey.
There we are. Welcome to Dennis in the Know. This is our Hump Day Happy Hour. So welcome to Dennis in the Know. This is your backstage look at current trends, politics, and education. It's all about the dental world. It's live and it's over a cocktail. I'm Jeff Horowitz, and my co-hosts are these very cool people sitting next to me. That is Dr. Chad Duplantis, and in between us is Dr. Jennifer Bell. No, that's not you. We are all practicing dentist catapult educators and business owners, and our job is to help bring all of you in the know. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
I'm on a high this week.
What's happening?
I'm on a little bit of a high. Well, first of all, I am still getting over our guest last week who nailed it.
Good.
How great was Paul Butler? Anyone out there who did not see our broadcast last week needs to go back and listen to Paul. Just what an inspirational guy.
We were actually speechless. No one knew what to say next because it was going to pale in comparison to what he had just said. So it was almost as if the show just needed to end in empty space because his words resonated and they were so perfectly executed.
And you know, he's never worked in the dental space before, but it has resonated with me all week that the whole purpose
plan.
You have to have a purpose. And I really just and beyond all of that.
A special purpose?
Yeah.
All right. For anyone who doesn't know, that was that. Go watch the movie The Jerk.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Great movie. But
all I need is this phone. And
this regardless of
remote,
this tape,
and my dog.
The cans
and this corkscrew.
A million lines.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
But regardless of what Paul said, he is a true gentleman. And you don't come across that every day. He is a true gentleman. Just a great guy. That was fantastic.
Yeah. And he's going to come back because he wants to do another program on team building and really focusing on, all of the team members in the practice. So, how they can contribute and be a bigger part of the team and really feel like they're making a contribution. So I'm kind of excited about that. But so something else great happened this week. We got our second podcast up. We're now ready to go where our podcasts are going to be coming up every single week. JB's got our website going. We've got Instagram going. I just feel kind of like we've hit a mark with Dinks that I'm really proud of. And you guys are awesome to work with because I can't imagine having gotten any of this done without the two of you.
I couldn't agree more, Jeff.
Yeah. Good week.
I think we all have our special purpose in Dinks.
Yeah, we all have a special purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know, but I'll drink to it.
Yeah. So what else is going? Anything happening in your lives this week? Anything cool in practice this week? Or tell me what's going on in your world.
JB, you go first.
So this week, I feel like the momentum to get back into continuing education and attending, organized dentistry events and different things. There seems to be finally it feels a little bit like things are starting to open back up. And I went to Scottsdale the other weekend for an AGD meeting, and I realized how much I missed being around my peers and my colleagues and discussing, crap that you deal with every day, whether it's personal or professional, and how disconnected we've all felt for the last year. And it seems like more and more courses and activities are starting to open back up a little bit. So my business partner and I were talking about several meetings and things that we wanted to attend this year. So I can feel this small inkling of normalcy starting to creep back into our professional life. And
for all our viewers, she's talking about Ange.
Yeah, my
It's
aunt.
Yeah.
And I was just so excited. You know, we're almost pent up a little bit, like ready to get back out and do. We're kind of CE junkies, so we do a tremendous amount of CE, and we were almost embarrassed at the amount we did last year because of how different the landscape was. So we're just really excited to get back out there and get our education on.
Yeah, no question. Chad, how about you, buddy?
You know, it was really a good week. I think there's this year has started off as a rat race, and this week I wouldn't say that it slowed down, but I think that I finally got things to come together. I got to start using the Deca laser today, and oh my!
Is that not crazy? It's like a
What do you
lightsaber.
do?
It's like a lightsaber. I like the way it cuts through stuff. It's like
It is.
That was a really bad sound effect, by the way.
No, it was good, Jeff. I got it, and you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I did a maxillary frenectomy on a very dear friend's son today, and so I was nervous from the get because it's my buddy's baby, you know, and it just cut through it like butter. There was literally zero bleeding whatsoever. The tissue, as I was cutting it, just looked like fresh, clean, attached tissue. It was amazing. I can't speak highly enough as to how great it was to be able to use this piece of machinery. And now it's kind of like I've got the bug, and I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up. And you know what? If it's something that I can just refine, I'm just going to crank it open and do it. I mean, and just, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm
not all meant to be cut. I'm just saying.
What?
Tongues are not all meant to be cut.
It wasn't. It was a frenectomy, but you know what? I'm going to feel more confident in doing gingivectomies. I'm going to feel more confident when you're doing those. There's been so many conversations this week on social media. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent this week, but this is a true story. So many conversations about people trying to do like buccal fillings or class 5s or something like that, and having to do a gingivectomy, and how do you get paid for the gingivectomy, and how do you get paid for the filling, doing it at the same appointment? Well, the facts are the insurance isn't going to pay for it all the time. But, you know, there's a convenience factor to having a dang laser in there, you know? And if I've got it hooked up and it's going to take me 2 seconds to add the tip to it, then by gosh, I'm going to use it. And I really don't care if I'm going to get reimbursed because it makes my job easier, which is worth its weight.
How do you make your life a little bit better and the patient go wow at the same time? Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, it's just such an obvious thing. And honestly, if you tell them, look, you're getting no reimbursement, the normal fee for this is $75 or $100. Listen, I'm just going to throw $25 on there or whatever. They're like, they think you are the best person in the world for helping them out. And you've made your life more convenient. You've made a restoration that's going to last longer. There's no bleeding, and everybody wins.
Exactly. And, you know, with that being said, since I kind of went on a tangent and talked about some Facebook comments,
I like tangents.
Let's do an episode that revolves around social media topics of the week one time. And we just take a bunch of social media topics and talk about how we would handle them, because there have been this week has been a great week for chatter. So I'm done tangenting.
Can I tell you something about
tangenting? Wrong. You put the accent on the wrong syllable.
Syllable.
Yeah.
So you know how you referenced a lightsaber? So I treat kids in our office. Yeah. So
sorry.
You know, I try to make the things that we use more approachable and, you know, comfortable for them. And so I was doing a filling on a kid, and I brought in the curing light, which we know is a blue hue. And I said, okay, now I'm just going to bring my lightsaber over and we're going to fix this all up. And he almost jumped out of the chair and said, "You're going to cut me with a lightsaber?" And I thought, I never really thought of it as a weapon because no one ever bleeds or gets actually cut by a lightsaber. So I don't, as like a small PSA to our person, do not refer to the curing light as a lightsaber. In fact, that's a weapon and apparently not cool.
No, apparently not. Well,
apparently.
So cool. What an eventful week. But I think we need to tell everybody out there what we've got in store for them on tonight's show. We've got so much good stuff. It really is just another great program. And Chad, what number episode is this? Like, I was totally taken back. Did you write like 29th episode or?
I believe it's 28.
28.
Yes.
That's crazy because I really feel like we just started this and this is so much fun doing this. Like, I could do this till I'm 117. Maybe no one wants to hear from me at that point, but I'll keep talking as long as someone will let me. But no, we have a really great show for you guys tonight. We have we're going to talk about organically building your dental practices through reviews and through reputation management. We have Danny Laneri, who is the founder of Swell, and he'll be chatting with us, and you guys don't want to miss any of that. So what was that face, Chad?
Not the founder.
I love Danny, and I think Danny would be flattered, but I believe the founder of Swell might be listening, and the founder is not Danny. Danny's the director of business development, but that's okay.
I said that. Did you not hear that?
I did.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I did.
You so misheard me and so misrepresented me.
Yes, sorry,
okay.
John.
Okay, so noted. And also, we have Dr. Eric Rindler, famous Dinks advisor and founder of Schedule Widget. That's another really valuable practice tool. And what would a Dinks episode be without hearing a little bit from JB about the news? So, JB, what do you have for us news? Oh, nice. You've got your laser.
Where did you get that? It's not a curing light, I can assure you.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That really will scare Tiny.
Yeah, and you totally stole the moment there. Like JB we were getting ready.
Oh.
Getting ready to go into the news. Chad totally just stole your spotlight.
The news will be there tomorrow.
All right. So JB's going to give us the news. Take it away, JB. What's going on?
So we have a new president. So today was kind of a busy day in the DC world. So that can't go without being mentioned, I guess. But let's go more into the dental realm. First off, I would just like to say that the McCarran-Ferguson Act was signed into law. That is an official law. So now we will wait to see what that means for us moving forward. We discussed that it had been approved by both the Senate and House, but was actually signed by the president and moved forward. So I know, like I mentioned before, last weekend, I was in Scottsdale with many AGD leaders. They're already trying to prepare to understand what the impact will be of that change. There's always unintended consequences that also come from any change that happens. And so I do think this is something we're going to have to watch pretty intimately because, we've operated under this law for all of our practice lives. And so it will change how we understand insurance to work. And I think it will take a few years to see what the impact will be. But for sure, there's change on the horizon for how insurances interact across state lines and the anti-competitive piece of this that may trickle down to our practices, which we can't really appreciate yet. So that is official as of last week. Any questions, boys?
Nothing at all.
Anything? No?
We talked so much about McCarran-Ferguson that it's really just nice to see that something has
Yeah.
finally come to fruition with that.
I feel very fortunate that it's only taken 10 years of my career to talk about it, but I know it's been a hot topic for even longer than that. So It felt like the never ending battle. So I'm pretty pumped about it. Secondly, PPP applications are up, and the last time we talked about it, I was a little bit indifferent about maybe not knowing if the necessity test, if we would qualify, but I ran my own numbers and I can tell you, in fact, you will qualify. And so I think it's at least worth looking into. Small institutions are doing that now. Larger institutions are going to kick in later this week. So if you have an opportunity or have been approached by your banker, I think it's at least worth looking into. Whether you take it or not is certainly a personal choice, but it does look like, because of the March and April shutdown that many of us did have to experience, that we may qualify for that for a second round. So that's definitely in the news for us this week. And the last one that we wanted to talk a little bit about was just to focus a little bit on, I think it's an important topic of the day, if you will, to highlight what a new administration will mean for corporate tax rate structure. I think it's really important, as Dennis, that we're having a very open and honest conversation with our CPAs about what 2021 and definitely 2022 will look like. The corporate rate will change, likely will go up. And a lot of the deductions and other things that maybe had been deployed during the last 4 years will likely change as well. So I think it's really in everyone's best interest to start engaging in those conversations early, to look at what production levels and income levels will mean for their own personal tax situations. And if there are, we can have a whole dinks on ways to look at alternative tax structures, like, is this being audited by the feds? I don't know,
I think it'd be great to get a tax professional on here at some point in time this year.
For companies that are based out of the islands that have very favorable tax structures. And, to be fully open about it, we're going to, because we mill a lot of our own restorations and make a lot of our stuff in-house, we're going to create a separate laboratory company embedded within our own master company.
So what I've heard you say, JB, what I've heard you say is that all of the dinks need to move to Costa Rica.
Actually, Turks and Caicos has the most.
Turks and Caicos, okay, all right.
Yeah, I believe she was talking about islands, and Costa Rica, last I checked, it's not an island.
Yeah, it's a technicality, but Turks is, and actually has a 0% corporate tax structure.
Really?
Not that I've looked into it.
Not at all. And
like that, or it's 4%. It might be 4%, but it is.
Why do I sense that there is going to be an FBI interrogation that involves replaying of this episode?
Can this one not go into a podcast?
Yeah.
Preferably. I'm just saying these are things that are currently things that other people are utilizing who also fall in the same corporate tax structure. So we'll try to give you that information as best and legally as we can. But I'm just saying maybe multiple entities within your current structure might be something you want to look at. I do think at the end of the day that things are going to be a little bit different, and the corporate tax structure is going to change. And so having those early conversations with your CPA, staying on top of what those changes might be, and coming up with strategies to help combat your increased tax burden might be prudent in the next couple of years.
I mean, that honestly, it's wise. There's no question. There's an understanding of, there is going to be an increased tax burden. We all know that. This is nothing political. It's just there is going to be an increased tax burden on a significant portion of the population. So we just need to figure out, what are the best legal strategies
Correct.
to address that. So I think it's a really valid topic to be talking about, and I agree. I think we need to get a good tax attorney on that can lay out, this is kind of on the border. This is good.
Well, I mean, if I can be fair, like, it's a bit of a soapbox, but we definitely, as entrepreneurs, small business owners who employ people, we fall in this very terrible mixed group where we're probably some of the most taxed individuals. And so we
are the lowest earners in the highest tax bracket.
Correct. And we don't have enough money to get ourselves out of all the taxes. So
right.
Anywho, not legal advice.
We went down a rabbit hole there, but
don't sue me. I'm just telling you that I think as we see more of that come out, I would, I shared that piece that I got from my CPA on the Section 139, which I appreciated very much from her. And if you want to direct message me more about what that really means for you in your practice, I'm happy to kind of dive into that in a non-public format. But there are a lot of things out there, and CPAs are trying to engage their clients to let them know what they can do to minimize the financial burden, because frankly, COVID's been really tough for a lot of us, and we're just trying to climb out of this hole a little bit. So anywho, not legal advice, not accounting advice, and just the news.
And apparently Deuce says that North Carolina has a 12-point lead right now.
Damn it.
So I do have another piece of news.
Is this edited? I don't know.
Before we get to our guest, I do have one more piece of news. It's as you all may not know, it's a very, very important day in history. And JB, do you happen to know why it's an important day in history?
This is a very significant day in history.
Yes, JB. Do you know who that is?
No.
Are you freaking kidding me? You don't know who that is?
Oh, no, I know Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes, and so today is a very important day in history because 39 years ago today, Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off of a bat at a concert in Iowa. He thought a rubber bat was thrown on stage, and so when he grabbed said rubber bat, he actually bit the head off of the bat on stage. And so in rock history, today is a very significant day that in January 20th, 1982, Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off of a bat.
And quite frankly, JB, I'm a little disappointed in you that wasn't included in your news and what you consider to be news.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you guys trying to tell me that now? Okay. First off, there's a line happening here. I'm about to take a bunch of people off this live event because they're being a bunch of Tar Hole haters or Tar Hole buttheads. Anyway, secondly, do you want a day in history addition to my news? Is that what you're trying to say? Do you want it real time, or do you want?
I'm just saying that
I
someone
think Jeff and I
doing
have proven that we can handle the
should
day,
be
this
all
day in
over
history.
the news.
All right. All you had to do was say.
That's all I'm saying.
Ought 9.
It's ever, JB. It's only 30 years ago. I ate the head off a bat.
But should I really
Can we introduce our next guest, Jeff?
Shouldn't I defer to both of you for the historical piece of the news?
All right. No, you're awesome at the news, and we ran over, but
just a joke. By the way,
it was great news. And Chad, why don't you introduce our first guest? Because apparently I totally flubbed it up in the early intro. So you go.
You just make stuff up.
So our first guest tonight is a very good friend of Catapult Education, of Jeff and I. JB just met him tonight, and hopefully she will get to know him the way that Jeff and I have over the years. Danny Laneri is with Swell, and he was formerly with Weave. He's now with Swell. When he went to Swell, he called both Jeff and I and said, hey, I've got a great product that I want you to look at. And he has become director of business development at Swell. The company is really taking off. You're going to learn all about it from Danny. But I will tell you that this is one of the companies that I use in my practice, Jeff uses in his practice, and it has been really fantastic. We'll get to that in a minute. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our good friend, Danny Laneri from Swell. So Danny, welcome.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. Where is he?
Oh,
there he is.
There he is. Danny.
Countdown after that fantastic introduction. I appreciate it.
Danny, we're honored to have you. I know that we have a lot to get
with
to
it. You're
tonight.
the founder. You're the founder. Just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the sound of that, but it's unfortunately not true.
I know we have a lot to get to tonight. I think we should coin you one of the most beloved men in dentistry, because it's funny when we mention your name that you're on the show, we get this, oh, Danny, I love Danny. I love Danny. And everybody loves Danny. So Danny, tell us a little bit about Swell and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah, just quickly, I met JB tonight, but the fact that we share, I have to make a quick shout out to Gigi Meineke.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people. I know she was on recently. I hope she's watching. Love you. And
we love Gigi, and Chad will get to know her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
so
got to be with her in Scottsdale last weekend. So actually, I'm feeling very fulfilled right now.
and I'm feeling very jealous. Yeah, so Chad, I appreciate the introduction. Going back several years of friendship now, interactions in different with different companies, with different capacities. When I started looking at Swell from an outsider's perspective and realizing the results that they were producing, and for a very affordable price point for dental practices, and the tech that they're built on, that's why I came to my friends first and I said, I think we've got a winner here. Why don't we plug this in and show you what it can do for your practices? But in terms of why Swell exists, first and foremost is to help practices stand out online. There's an influx of internet traffic. The way that we find practices today has changed. It starts with a search. It literally, best dentist near me, affordable dentist, cosmetic dentist, you name it. We are ensuring that practices show up front and center, but that they're using their online reviews, namely on Google, as a brand effort to establish trust, credibility, and to leverage the wonderful oral healthcare they're offering to their patients. So standing out online, but then it's about connectivity. In 2020, it was really evident that practices should not force patients to call in or call out or email and wait for a response, but open up additional channels of communication, Facebook Messenger, two-way text message, web chat, and web form submissions to really help them engage with an omni-channel approach, open up more opportunities for patients to reach you and then meet them where they are. And so I'm excited for the combo, and we have a lot to chat.
Okay, Danny, I am a complete novice in all this. What is an omni-channel approach?
When we look at dental practices in the history, you know, I'm now 10 years in on patient communication, and I literally remember when I was fighting a dentist that he should send text messages to his patients. It was, no, if my patients, they prefer to call, they want to call, they love my 6-month mailer for their recare, you name it, right? We've moved away from that. So that one line call in, call out is one channel. And as we open up additional channels, we're saying omni-channel. Let them text you, let them Facebook message you, let them web chat you, let them submit an online appointment request, text to pay, all of these things that really the way we've changed the way that we communicate with patients, and patient preferences have changed. And so if practices are forcing patients into one way in, one way out, they're being overlooked for practices that open up additional channels and make it convenient and personalized.
All right, I'm going to put this in layman's terms because honestly, Danny, you're brilliant. Everything that you have said to me is absolutely true. All I know is you told me about this product, and I went from having 50 reviews to nearly 100 reviews in like less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks, which organically put us at the top for search engine optimization. So maybe talk a little bit about that, because for me, this is where the rubber meets the road is, you know, how do we as practice owners build our reputations? How do we increase our search engine optimization without having to pay someone a ton of money to do that?
Absolutely. Well, what a lot of marketing companies don't want to admit is that while Google algorithm is very keyword, and there's a complex algorithm that some of those search engine optimization companies nail, and they charge a pretty penny to do so. But about 30% of your business ranking on Google has to do with reviews, and surrounding reviews, 3 things. It's your star rating, i.e., are you maintaining a high star rating on your Google My Business page? Number 2 is the number of reviews. Keep in mind, Google is a data company. They want real, authentic reviews from real, authentic patients or business patrons. So the more frequently, and that is the most important thing now with Google, is the frequency and the recency that you have data. So with Swell, we said, well, what's the best way to generate organic reviews? And that is a personalized, branded, aesthetically pleasing message, and it's an easy, convenient path for the patient to simply click and leave that review. And, you know, all these other systems have cast a very wide net and have said, oh yes, we're everything to everyone. But Swell entered the market and said, no, we actually nail reviews. We've thought through the customizations, the personalization, the necessary integration into the practice management software to, like you said, Jeff, to take practices from 50 to 100 in no time. Same thing happened with Chad's office.
Less than 2 weeks, Danny. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
crazy.
Really,
that in part comes because Swell is one of 3 companies that has a privileged access through Google. What that means is Google powers our reviews. We link it directly to your page, and you can respond through the Swell platform as the owner without ever having to leave and go log into Google. You simply run it in Swell, and we will take care of everything from start to finish.
Well, and I think your point is valid. We're so uncomfortable to ask people who we know genuinely like us and trust us to help our business grow and to leave us positive feedback. You know, the people who are most frustrated with us are very quick to leave us their negative feedback, but the people who love us and respect us and just keep coming back expecting the same experience over and over are far less reluctant to online and give us that feedback. And so how do you overcome those users who, one, I think maybe don't want to take the time, but 2, I think there's some small percentage of people who don't want to give us positive reviews because they don't want too many people to come, like, to ruin their own personal experience. Does that make sense?
You know, JB, I'm going to expand upon that question real quick because you hit a really good point. And I think that I have, in addition to that, is that before we had Swell, Danny and I had a webinar a couple weeks ago and we talked about this, and I want to hear Danny's exact language on this because we've used several companies to get reviews in the past, and we have never had the success that we've had with Swell. So in addition to what JB asked you, I want to ask, what do you all do differently? Our paradigm and our practice has changed with Swell is that we used to say, okay, well, maybe we'll ask 10% for the reviews and hopefully get those. Now we've switched, and instead of asking the 10%, we're asking 90%. So Danny, what do you all do so different that's completely reversed the way that Jeff and I think and really boosted our reviews in addition to JB's question?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thought that comes to mind, and this just comes back to what I spoke about before, and JB, you mentioned some of the reasons why we have certain customizations and approaches to requesting reviews from patients. Long-standing patients, new patients, unhappy patients. We say, put them all through, because Google is focused on recency and real data and authentic experiences. You can take a negative review and now we're instantly notifying you when that review pops up and you can respond as the owner. But the truth is, and this is true for both Jeff and Chad, is that negative review will be buried in no time, because we're onto the formula when you need to send these reviews out, what they should look like, how you should brand them, and how they're what will increase the likelihood that that patient, whether new or existing for many years, will actually click the link and leave you that review.
Danny, just tell the truth though. You have to work much harder to bury Chad's negative reviews than you do mine, right?
Oh, thank goodness for automation. You know,
He's had to hire 3 extra people.
They've got a team, and they've got to plan his team in place.
So you bring up an interesting point, because this is something we debate in our practice quite a bit. A negative review, because let's admit those happen, and sometimes based on fact, sometimes based on fiction, and we still have to kind of figure out what we're going to do with them. And for a long time, it was do nothing, don't respond, don't engage, don't, just don't. And now I think there's been a bit of a pendulum switch to start to consider at least presenting an alternative viewpoint. So does Swell have some thought on negative reviews and how you handle those as a business owner?
Absolutely. It's the best defense is a good offense. Just like you said, in the past, it's been a sticky subject, and sometimes they're not real, but in most cases, it's just a misunderstanding. Right. And we suggest and make it possible that you're notified in real time, you can respond very quickly, and you can reach out to that individual offline potentially and do whatever you need to do even before you respond to that review and say, so glad we chatted. We look forward to seeing you next time. Everything's honky-dory. But really, it goes a long way when someone is scrolling through. I think we've also gone through a phase where for a long time, practices were gating these reviews. They were saying 1 to 5 star, how likely are you to recommend us or to leave us a review? If they clicked 1, 2, or 3, they were then routed offline where the practice could hide that or bury it. Well, Google actually flagged and took down thousands of reviews because they said, no, we want real data. You push everyone through, and whether it's positive or negative, now there's that response. And that shows the lifeblood and that you're on top of it and that you're aware, you're responsive. Everyone knows, everyone who's sensible understands that you can't bat 100 with a customer, a patient, you name it. So we say absolutely respond to them, let them come through. We do have a blocked feature set list, so you can actually put, say, in Dentrix, pound DND, do not disturb. So a notoriously grumpy patient is not messaged for a review request. But in some cases, and even today, we have a practice that still has a 4.9 star average, and they had a negative review, but that was buried by 7 other reviews, and they responded to that. And we just love seeing that because it's all powered through our platform, but we make it easy, and that's contemporary. Just squash it, attend to it, and then never think twice.
Since we're talking about negative reviews, I'll tell you a story. I really think that the reason for a lot of negative reviews is people are seeking attention from the business owner. And so I've left 1 negative review in my life, and I felt awful about it, but I had called, I had emailed, I heard nothing. I left that review. Instantaneously, they contacted me. Oh my gosh, what did we do? How can we rectify this? And I went right back and I changed it. So since we've been doing Swell, I got 1 negative review. And immediately, like you said, I reached out to the patient. I was like, hey, where did we go wrong? And it was funny because it was a complete misunderstanding. We were laughing by the time that we ended up getting off the conversation with one another. And it usually can work itself out. Sometimes it simply can't, but for the most part, it can work itself out. And Danny, I mean, you're spot on. Just it's a way to actively engage with patients in real time. And do you want to share some analytics?
I love analytics.
Yes, I actually went into both of your account and Jeff's account earlier and took a screenshot of some of the progress, and I believe you have those available.
Yes, Jennifer, I'm going to hide you for just a second because we can only have 3 of us on the screen. So hold on just a second. Whose do you want to look at first? Because I have them all pulled up right here.
Let's take a look at Fossil Creek, your practice.
Hold on just a second. Fossil Creek right here. All right, so you talk about it, and I'll tell the backstory.
And I wrote half of the bad reviews that were on there before.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, this bar graph, this is important because we are actually tied into your Google Analytics. So what we did the day that we plugged in, which is not those high bar graphs are actually after we started, and I'll talk about that. But the prior year was a little bit dull in whatever other services you were using to power your reviews. We gave you a year snapshot and then said, we're going to start compiling this bar graph the day that you start Swell. And obviously those 3 spikes speak for themselves. You've got 90 reviews since starting with Swell. I believe it actually may even be a few more than that because some of them are not directly through Google. We can solicit reviews on other platforms or even give you internal feedback through a Swell review if you prefer. Some patients actually opt for that. It's rare, but they do. But phenomenal results. I remember when we first looked at your Google My Business page just a couple months ago, and you were at what, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around in there. And it wasn't indicative of the service that you offer in your practice. If somebody came and searched Fossil Creek and ran into you on Google, they weren't going to see what they see now, which is 100+ 5-star reviews with responses from the owner, and it's fresh. If they look at the newness, you're getting daily reviews, and this is absolutely helping and will continue to draw more and more traffic in as we get to the several hundreds in the space of no time.
And, you know, just an aside, last night I texted you because I knew you were coming on the show, and I said, Danny, guess what? 89 reviews. By the time you responded, which was less than 5 minutes later, it was 91, and it's even grown since then. And it's amazing to be able to get these reviews. And it's really important, at least what you taught me and what I've done is in responding to them. And I respond to the reviews as well. So I've been amazed. So let's look at Jeff's practice here. All right.
And by the way,
there's Jeff's.
Ashley, who is my advertising and sleep coordinator. She's texting me because she's listening, and she's so proud of this because she's worked really hard to get us onboarded, and we are just so excited about this.
She's proud of what, Jeff?
Of Danny.
Look at those stats.
11 reviews, 1.5 stars.
Oh, 1.5
reviews.
Yes. Yes. You know what? I got to stop asking people to look at their feet. I've got to stop that. Apparently this is a problem I have. I always ask my patients to look at their feet.
I apologize. I had to do that to Jeff. Here's Jeff's real analytics.
Yeah. And I've got to finish. What's wrong with that?
One thing too, when we look at these stats here is Jeff actually has several locations, and we've been in the process, like he said, with Ashley rolling these locations out. But this is just a quick snap of one of the listings, and so this doesn't have the entire story in it. But the reality is we're talking 2 weeks, right? Once again, going back, we have a few different graphs that would fill in those other gaps where the numbers would match up to where he was able to double. But we're talking instant results 9 out of 10 times, and if it's not instant results, we ask the one practice that isn't getting reviews if they're performing dentistry in a way that would allow them.
You made Ashley upset. Ashley was watching that, and she's like, "What?"
That was a good one. Yeah, the cool thing is we were able to come in, Jeff. I know with your practice management software, we had to do just a couple other quick workarounds, but once we got that squared away, we were literally the moment that those appointment statuses were changed, we were batching those out, sending those out 6:30 to 8 p.m. local time, instead of rushing patients out the door saying, oh, we're going to push you out with this link while you're rushing the kids back to soccer practice or heading back to work, fill this out, do this. No, we take that out of your hands and then say, send these out when you're statistically going to get the best results. Brand it, make it personalized, make it easy, and you'll see spikes like this in your practice.
Dude, it's been great. I mean, this is and again, I reserve this for things that I really believe in when I say this. No brainer. No brainer.
It's so true. And you know, Jeff, if you look back at it, you and I both, by the way, we're in a competition now since we're only 2 reviews apart. So game on, Jeff. However, the thing is that you guys have the secret sauce. There's something that you do that provokes these patients to act. The call to action is the best I have ever seen. And I could tell you that the first day we implemented, which was November 4th, I was out of town. I came back to like 15 reviews and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So truly, Danny, thank you for what you all have done. It's fantastic.
And Chad, I think we need to disclose too, this is not a paid advertisement. We are not being paid to put this on in any way, shape, or form. We are trying to bring all of you the same information that has made our practices successful.
No,
and
I'm
so
asking questions if I might consider this service. This is a vetting interview.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, go easy on me, JB.
Just saying. You okay?
No, we would.
Was that rhetoric, or
confident?
are we supposed to wait for questions, or just kind of curious? Maybe?
To the disclosure of honesty and
I got you.
This conversation. Not everybody is a customer, but also this was an excellent opportunity for me to have an opportunity that was super redundant.
No.
To ask some of the hard questions that maybe some of our viewers who aren't customers of yours might be thinking.
That's what we do.
Can I say one thing around that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'll
Yeah,
Again,
go ahead.
Good
Go
night,
ahead.
Danny.
I'll
Nice
be in
meeting
the
you.
waiting room, and then you can let me know when I can speak.
Yeah.
So, JB, one thing, just to reiterate what you're saying, and in terms of the vetting, I understand firsthand what practices are bombarded with from a technology standpoint. I know that everyone is currently wondering who does what for me and crossing wires and this and that, and wondering if they're getting value out of the subscriptions that they're paying for. So our whole thing at Swell is we're not trying to rip and replace systems that are working and systems that provide value for you, but we have really gone hyper-focused in certain areas that we know practices currently are not getting through their subscription services. There are legacy softwares that are doing things, the confirmations, recare, quick fill in the schedule. But when it comes to reviews and then patient acquisition and connectivity and ongoing messaging through drip sequence and marketing, COVID updates, you name it, there are some really slick things that Swell offers, and we're able to sit side by side with these other legacy systems and plug in and provide value. Or we also let practices try, and we're going to run a Dinks deal because you were nice enough to have us on here. We want to let Dinks members try this out at no cost. There's zero risk on the front end. It takes 40 to 45 minutes to integrate, and we're up and running, and they can see how it sits very well side by side with existing systems, or they may even find ways to reduce costs because we're driving and creating results with systems that they're paying for but are not producing similar results. Like with Chad in the past, he's used other systems, paid for them to provide reviews. We plugged in, and instantly he's filled a gap that we offer. So we're.
And I think to Jeff's point, SEO and Google and optimization and all that changes overnight, every day. The algorithms, how do you perform well? How do you not? I think it it's tough to find people that you can trust, that you can say, hey, I'm going to give this piece of my business to you. Just make it work. Just do what you're supposed to do. And I think you bring that value to the table.
And with that being said, I want to tell you that, Danny, your harshest critic is right there. And
is that
I
me?
saw a twinkle in her eye when we started talking about Swell and seeing the results of Jeff and I are getting maybe just a tad bit of jealousy.
No,
but
I thought
we
that was
do
my practice that you showed the first time for Jeff.
Yeah. We do have another special guest that you all have developed a business relationship, a very good friend of Dink's, and I am going to figure out who goes bye-bye this time. Bye, JB. We're going to bring in Eric Rindler, and Eric is with Schedule Widget, and I'm going to let you all talk about your relationship, and actually I am going to bow out for a minute. So Eric is coming on, and I'm going to let you guys take it away with Jeff.
There's our Dink's advisor and Schedule Widget guy, Eric Rindler. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. I thought it was going to be like Matt Damon on the show with Jimmy Kimmel, where Jimmy Kimmel would say, and our guest, Matt Damon, well, we don't have time for Matt Damon tonight. So,
Dude, you've been to see Gigi Meineke, haven't you? You look younger. I said that in the pre-show. You look younger. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't, it's really funny because I don't know Gigi, but I look at our Schedule Widget analytics all the time, and she's got a killer practice. I see her name. In fact, I just added her behind the scenes to the Dink's network. So her practice is now on your Find a Provider tool.
Well, she runs Faces training, which is like Botox fillers and education for dentists, and she's amazing. But Eric, I've seen you before, dude, and you look better. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, I sent all my old sweaters to Danny, and so.
All right, you guys take it away because I'm talking too much. I'm gonna talk about the relationship.
I'm going to talk for a second because what Schedule Widget really is, it's a collaborative economy tool working to grow dentistry. And we sort of threw it out there to a bunch of companies, and we let them know what we're doing. And the first person to grab hold and say, hey, wait a minute, how does this create value for our customers? And sit down and look at it, trying to make more value for their customers, was Danny Laneri. And so I really admire Danny. But what I love about it is Danny wasn't just sort of looking to say, hey, how do we make more money on our customers? It's how do we make it better for our customers? And you guys have already talked about what he's done for your practices. And so we're really pretty excited to announce our collaborative tool. We've actually integrated seamlessly, really rather impressively, with Swell. And so I'll hand off to Danny because that's how the interaction works is Swell does their magic. They get the patients to show up. Then Schedule Widget allows for the frictionless lead conversion. And then we hand the ball back to Swell. So the processes in your office are what you're used to doing anyway. So Danny, you want to talk about it for a second?
Yeah, definitely. Welcome in, Eric. It's good to see you. You do look youthful, and if you want your sweater back, just let me know. So when looking at Schedule Widget from an outsider's perspective, when I was first introduced, I got to know Eric and realized that he's probably got two brains inside of his head. And as I learned about his associations, we had mutual acquaintances, Jeff, Chad, many others throughout the country in dentistry. And I liked the collaboration, like we talked about, the collaborative economy, but Eric is trying to grow dentistry. He's trying to, rather than dental practices being forced to market and pull these patients into the practice, he's saying, well, no, let's rethink this. How do we create networks and send patients into providers through trusted relationships? The Dink's Find a Provider tool is a perfect example right there. So the way that is built out is that those patients who are coming from any of these partner networks and patients are literally being placed right into your practice through Schedule Widget. But what we did is we integrated our softwares so that when somebody schedules through Schedule Widget anywhere in the country through any of these Find a Provider networks, they are then instantly able to communicate and engage through Swell with a two-way text message with that patient that has come right in. And then once they're in the practice, like Eric said, we do facilitate the ongoing communication and help them to continue to ensure that they either return to a Find a Provider link and link back to us, or we keep that in-house, and now we can carry the conversation ongoing with these patients that have come from who knows where through Schedule Widget.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a dream relationship, because the other thing is Schedule Widget's running true next-gen technology, and Danny made reference to some of the legacy technologies in dentistry. And once we decided to integrate with Swell, it was literally a flip of a switch, because their technology is so advanced, so next-gen. We were sort of on the same space to get going. They didn't have to go and deal with their technology debt, have to change things to make it so that they could try to connect with us. And so it's been great. The other thing that's interesting is I get the analytics for the new patients that are scheduling through your platforms. And about the time that Danny mentioned you guys going live on Swell, we see more new patients actually scheduling through Schedule Widget in your practices. So it starts that Danny's sort of helping create the lead generation, right? People realizing, hey, look at all these reviews. Look how great these practices are. Then the opportunity for lead conversion is there wherever they are. They can click on the Schedule Widget. In one click, they can either request or actually schedule in your practice. And then, like we said, then you can communicate with them in real time whenever you want. You can wait till you're back in the office, or, oh, I have a new joke I say, hey, do you know who was working on New Year's Day? You know who was working on Christmas Day? Schedule Widget. So, if a patient contacted your office on New Year's Day, you can say, hey, effortlessly, our office will reach out Monday unless it's something you need sooner. And through Swell, that's simple. It's what y'all do.
I'll tell you guys, I mean, what's been put together here is absolutely incredible. And I appreciate both of your friendships. And it's just so much fun to see what can happen when you bring friendships, great ideas, and people who really want to advance the profession together. So thank you for what both of you have done. Thanks to Schedule Widget. Thanks to Swell. And you guys have been great friends to Dinks. And I know the Dinks will really appreciate the fact that you guys have done this together. So, so good to see both of you. And Chad, welcome back. Where you been?
I was letting them do their thing.
Hey, Chad, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You know how there's certain people in your life that you're around and they make you better? Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe all the good reviews are because you talk to Danny all the time, and so you're just nicer to people, and so it's easier for them to give you good reviews? It's the Danny Laneri Swell effect.
It's the Swell effect.
You know, Eric, I just want to tell you that Danny and I do talk all the time, but he's not half as annoying as you are.
No, he's just all nice.
All kidding aside, I truly consider both of you all great friends, and I know that Jeff and I would both agree that we are better for knowing each of you. But both of you all have such unique characteristics that you or unique services that you provide to our practices, and both of your services are invaluable in our practices. I mean, I can't live without either of them. So my reviews are better maybe because of Danny, but they bring more patients into my practice because of you. So
we love what you're doing, and you're sort of on the same mission as us, and that you're, whether we're growing dentistry or making dentistry better, we're all pushing dentistry forward. So
love it.
Keep up the great work, guys. We just enjoy you guys so much. Ciao.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
great
you
seeing
guys.
both
We'll see you
you
next
guys.
time.
Hey, thanks so much. It was a pleasure. Take care, Jim.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Danny, Eric, good to see you, brothers. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, talk soon.
Hopefully live.
Yeah. Hopefully live. Where is JB?
I don't know, but I want her back.
She's coming back. Chill out.
Okay.
There she is. Hey,
I can't go
JB.
that long.
Me?
All right, it's 9:30. We need to close this out soon. I will say
Can
I
I?
want everyone to look for our podcasts, which are now on Apple and anywhere else you can find podcasts. I want everyone to look at our webpage that JB was so instrumental in getting going. Look at our Instagram, which JB also got going. And it just gets better every day. So I'll leave it at that. Good night, you guys.
Hey, good night. And you know what? Thank you, JB.
I love you guys.
We love you too.
We love you too.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, John Boy.
John Boy.
All right. We're closing out. See y'all next week.
Great show, guys. Love you, man. That was really